Is that a smoke bomb? Keep walking. Walk, 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 walk.
Connie Sly is a getaway movie gone wrong.
About two amateur thieves, sisters Connie and Sly,
who rob a bank,
Wanting to escape immediately.
they set off a car alarm and perform a hypnotic dance around a vehicle. Over 3 years ago, I was driving and I heard a car alarm and I had the reaction that everyone does. This is the most annoying sound in the world and all I want to do is just make it go away. But then I thought to myself, there's something familiar here. Everyone knows this sound. What if we can take this incessant noise and we can actually turn it into something melodic? That idea really excited me. I thought, I haven't seen this before. I haven't heard this before. At that point, I knew this was going to be a dance film. I was a big fan of Whyte, Berg, a choreography company in LA. I just kind of told them about the idea and they were down.
So Laurence and I first met and he first pitched the idea to me. I was very excited about it. I really felt like it had room to frame dance nicely.
We were starting our interest in character-based work, and so I think there was something for me to find a way to make dance that can sometimes feel foreign, feel like it actually comes from a real place.
After Whyte was interested, I knew that our dancers needed something to dance to. So I brought on Bobak, Lotfipour. I thought to myself, this is the most bizarre ask in the entire world. Tell me I'm not crazy.
The car alarm really threw me off. Like, I was like, how is that going to work? And how's that going to be cool? I had never wrote a piece specifically for dancers. I just kind of was relying on my instincts. That being first, I would need the keyboard to be set up in a way that I could think instinctually about these rhythms with a very annoying alarm. I always love it when there's like a contrast of like a joyful part of the song and it goes to like a little dark, moody part of the song. And I didn't want to call back on the verse. I didn't want to call back on the chorus. I just wanted it to play more like cinematic. I didn't want to think about it too much as a standard structured song. I just really wanted the dancers to be into what they're dancing to. That was really important to me.
After Bobak finished the song, I brought it to Whyte and we began the choreography and rehearsal process.
Co-choreographing with Gracie is like two parts of the same soul. We've been choreographing together for about 7 years now, and I think that there's really an inherent level of trust.
The ball just rolls really quickly just because you have a second brain in the room.
Yes. And then like a walking on the beat thing. Yeah. And then like splat our faces on the end. Yeah.
What was so cool about seeing Gracie and Laura in action is that they were able to take this music and really weave it into a physical, behavioral performance. And it was really important that we infuse a lot of comedy. They really brought a lot of zany ideas to the movement.
Something that we really enjoy is getting a direction from the director and then figuring out how to put that into movement. It's sort of like hearing it through the ears, going into the brain, and then like permeating down into the body.
Laura, Gracie, and I talked about the car and what is the relationship between the car. And I came up with this idea of objectphilia. The moment that the alarm triggers this trance, they were really like two magnets being drawn to this inanimate object.
There is like a sexual pull towards it, but it's not vixen-like. It really heightens the comedy of it. And then there's almost like a secondary set of play once we brought Charissa in, because Charissa is a different spirit than Gracie. So by the time that we brought Charissa in, it had like a whole other evolution.
So the very first rehearsal, the movement that Gracie and Laura came up with was inventive and had the right amount of humor to it, and I knew exactly all the beats and what I could then bring to it as a performer.
The more that our team grew, the more that the film and story really evolved. And once Jess came on as a producer, she was able to help bolster the character motives and create the getaway driver.
What excited me most about this premise is that it was absurd, and I didn't see a lot of filmmakers making something this bold, making something this fun, and it also championed something, the part of my identity, female stories, female-driven characters, female-driven missions, and the premise didn't fit into just one box. It was really genre-bending and something I hadn't seen before. I really wanted audience members to understand why these women were not just robbing the bank, but why they had to get away, why they had to steal a car. I also thought of the getaway driver that we could cut back and forth to really build tension, add stakes, and tie up loose ends.
After Jess really helped me build the narrative world, we started scouting locations and getting the film ready.
Let's be here for each other. Let's listen. Let's have fun. Let's do it.
Having a strong DP on a dance film, I feel like is one of the most important, vital things, to have someone who has an intuition about movement and an ability to connect with the performers. And it always makes it feel like there's another dancer in the room because the DP is part of the dance.
Ian was amazing from beginning to end. He had already shot tons of dance projects, and with this narrative, I was really able to lean on him for his creative eye and experience.
I think anytime you get to apply stylization in two different forms, it's always fun.
In order to differentiate our worlds, we really changed the camera techniques for the robbery scenes, really handheld, really gritty, in your face.
Anything that we could do to sort of like heighten the drama and anxiety of the situation was key. And then everything kind of just slowed down when they were in the dance. Our thought was the dance would be fluid and smooth and sort of dreamy. And the idea was just to get lost in that moment.
Going into this project, I definitely knew from Laurence that there is going to be a huge acting component. And so I was thinking about how to carry that. And on the day of the shoot, I felt so comfortable with everyone. The script was clear. And so Laurence was great in just kind of giving us free rein to make choices. And I started to make choices, and he seemed to respond to that. So that really just propelled me to have fun with each of the actors.
I was really excited to have a sister on film. There is sort of like a really intense bond that happens when you are duetting. Especially Chris and I have been dancing together for almost 7 years. And then also, Connie is just so much more bold and reckless than I am. And I had so much fun being able to pretend that I had those qualities in myself.
And Jack in the car. And fighting over the crowbar. And crowbar drop. All right, cut. That was awesome, guys.
One of the hardest challenges was post-production and really finding the right tone. How could we go from serious to playful? How can we take this heist story and pivot to a wild, abstract, lucid scene?
All right, let's do this.
Even though there was a pandemic, Zoom enabled us to really get in the edit and make sure our creative vision was achieved.
What do you think about this heat reference?
I love the, but not that, not that with the crowbar.
Yeah.
I like the old cue better. Who the fuck are you?
Well, he says, what the fuck?
What are you doing on my car? We wanted to use the film language and identify when are these characters entranced in this crazy universe, making sure that each world was its own and kind of leaning into that.
I think the color grade should be cool, muted, and gray. And then the dance scene will be abstract, saturated, and warm. Getting there. We're getting there.
Great job.
The most rewarding part about this process was seeing this little idea I had grow into something so much bigger. When you're working with 8 players in different crafts and different art mediums, wonderful things happen, and you really have to be open to letting your little idea grow.
I'm always interested in challenging myself. And this seemed like a good project to do it with.
The storyline is quite absurd and we definitely had fun making it. If people are down to go on the ride, I think that it can be a really fun ride. Just put your seatbelt on and get ready for this kind of kooky experience.
My hope is that people will enjoy Connie and Sly and be taken into it just like the characters are. I think we all enjoy that mental vacation type place that I think they get to go to.
I hope audiences will love this movie. I hope audiences will feel a little bit lighter after having watched it. It's also about kick-ass women, and I want people to want to see those kind of characters more.
What I hope that dance audiences get out of this film is something that can be fun and casual, and it's just in this little bite-sized film.
That maybe seeing something like this gives you hope that there's something that feels different than everyday life.
After living in a pandemic and really feeling stuck to our couches, I hope that this short film provides you an escape. And I'd like to think that when you tell stories that are fun and you're having fun making them, that energy and that innocence really comes across in the short film.